It's
That's
not
literally
clear
my
to
mom
it's
and my
well it's
dad
not
saying
clear
that.
to me that having commonality with someone is a primary attraction trigger.
I mean, like, you don't find attraction to people that you have things in common with and that you talk to and can, like, understand where they're at in their life and their life experiences and things like that, because a 29-year-old and a 19-year-old have very, very different life experience. And a 29-year-old is going to be able to manipulate a 19-year-old very, very easily.
Not necessarily.
I mean, in most cases.
Well, I mean, we were previously talking about this, how women mature a bit faster, and I would say women actually get a lot more. I think women are much more socially attuned than men are. So, I mean, you can make the argument in a lot of cases that women socially can actually run circles around men.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say
Like,
for a
if
29 or 30-year-old man, I think that's like a massive difference.
Not necessarily. I mean, he could be, say he's maybe not the most attractive guy. Maybe he's got a job. Like a 19-year-old girl who's kind of a fucking hustler could go in there and absolutely run circles around a dude who's in his late 20s or early 30s. If she's a hustler, a 19-year-old chick that's a hustler could absolutely run circles around like some like naive 30-year-old who doesn't have much of a relationship experience. Take, for example, maybe a guy who's not particularly attractive. He's going to get played. He's going to get got. So
That's true.
I'm not saying that's going to be the case for like most women. I'm not saying most women are hustlers like that, but like, you know, they can get got, you know? So, but I mean, this idea that commonality, I mean, have you ever had a ton of things in common with someone and there was no attraction?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, sure, all the time. But like every relationship I've ever had, I've had things to talk about with them in commonality, whether it's life experience or things we've gone through or hobbies or activities or whatever the case may be. I've also never been attracted to a man that I have nothing in common with.
But also, would you agree that today's generation is growing up much faster as well? Like, I think back to me being an 18-year-old versus the 18-year-olds nowadays. Like, they're talking about shit, doing shit, and aware of shit that I had no clue about at their age. And so it's also just a sign of the times to a degree, honestly.
No, I agree.
Yeah. Thank you.
I get it.
I don't know. If a girl's 5'3" and wants to date a guy who's 6'4", you wouldn't say, but you don't have anything in common with him.
That's a physical thing. That has nothing to do with life experience or like commonality.
Okay. Well,
Like-
I mean, okay, what is the advantage? Say you're a 31-year-old guy. What advantages are there to dating a 31-year-old woman versus a 21-year-old woman?
I mean, as far as life experience, already having partnerships, knowing what you want, knowing what you don't want, being able to talk about those things, having healthy communication and boundaries because you've put in the work through your 20s in order to have those healthy relationships. A 19-year-old probably hasn't done that.
So what I hear is more sexual partners, more relationship baggage, more relationship trauma.
I don't think
No.
I don't
That's
consider
what I
any
hear.
of that because every relationship that I've been in, I wouldn't consider traumatic. I mean, a lot of those were experiences that I had positive experiences with people that I dated where I came
Sure.
out and I said, you want to know what? Like, I really like this about him and I really didn't like this. And this is something that I realized in my life that this is something I don't agree with or want. I mean, go back to Jonah Hill. If I was him and I started dating that surfer girl after all of my other experiences, I go, you know what? This doesn't really align with what I want in my life. So I would just choose not to date that person. I mean, you just know what you want. Whereas a 19-year-old has no freaking clue what they want. Realistically.
I've met a lot of women of varying ages, and I don't think. I mean, maturity is not a given, even if you are older.
Oh,
There's
of
a lot of
course.
immature people, a lot of people with trauma and baggage and issues that you can find at pretty much any age.
Right. But I mean, a lot of the reasoning that these men say they want an 18, 19-year-old is because they lack baggage and lack trauma. So by your...
And they're also more physically attractive.
I mean, I think that's subjective.
Well, I mean, how dare a man be attracted to a woman at the height of her physical attractiveness
I'm
and
not
fertility?
saying... Yeah, I didn't say that he can't be attracted to somebody that age, but I think when you get to a certain point, it's more so like, oh, she lacks experience. I'm able to take advantage of that. She doesn't have these hang-ups.
That's kind of projection.
But you're implying that primordial attraction is predatory. I mean, it could be predatory, but that's not always the case.
I mean, when you're coming at it as, oh, she doesn't have any baggage, she doesn't have any relationship experience,
Yeah.
this is somebody
some
that I
people
can
don't
easily
wanna-
take advantage
Like,
of.
some people don't want to deal with that.
It's
Like a lot of people aren't equipped
Don't want to
with
deal
that.
with
someone
Emotional
life
life.
Yeah,
Yeah, baggage,
with
trauma.
life.
Some people don't want to have to deal with
Some
trauma.
people
They don't
aren't
want to have
emotionally
to.
equipped to
They
that.
just want to
Don't
become
get
somebody
into-
else's trauma.
No,
that's
not at all.
that
It's
is
just-
a very bleak way of looking at relationships.
women, especially with the incidence of mental health that's gone up, like I'm sure you'll at least know, like most of your friends at least have anxiety or depression or some form of mental illness. You get a girl who's younger, closer to a blank slate than anything, low body count, has not been tainted by the world. Like, why doesn't that make more sense? Going to be less combative, fight with you less, more respectful in the relationship. And
Because
doesn't
they
have
have
any
less
baggage holding it back.
experience.
Yeah.
I mean, life experience for sure helps, but I feel like for trauma, it can go one of two ways with women. It could ruin them or it could make them stronger. And the percentile that it makes stronger is very minimal by comparison.
And I think trauma affects the way that relationships go. Like, it has a lot to do with relationships. Like, oh, I'm traumatized because this happened to me.
So these
and
older
this is
men
how
have
I'm
no
gonna
trauma?
project it.
Yeah,
No, no,
like
no.
these men don't have any trauma.
This is
No,
how
they do, but
like,
again, men and women are different. Trauma affects men differently than women, I believe.
it does. And I don't think it's the partner's responsibility to have someone with that amount of emotional baggage. I think it's absolutely okay to be like, I don't want someone who is still dealing with these problems. Like, maybe if they've healed from it, it's fine. But like, there's certain people who aren't equipped to deal with that sort of thing. And some people don't want a relationship. Some people are seeking casual relationships. You don't want to, and they don't seek out relationships with this amount of depth to them. And so you don't really want someone who might, harm them in some way, not harm physically or harm emotionally, but there are certain behaviors that traumatized people might exhibit due to their trauma that might hurt the relationship. And I myself have trauma, and I'm not going to go ahead and dump it, but I'm saying that has absolutely affected the way I've interacted with people. That's affected the way that I've loved people. That's affected the way that I've received love. And I think it's just not, I don't blame the people for not wanting that.
What's your question? Then we have a couple chats. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, I'm curious if anyone knows, how does trauma affect men and women differently, or like how does that come out differently?
If anything, what I've heard is that men with mental disorders and usually show it way more than women do. Like borderline personality disorder, men tend to be way more aggressive than women do, than women are. So I think you are a little bit wrong with that, because some men simply cannot control themselves.
Well, that's the way it's exhibited. It's going back to the saying that like men and women commit suicide equally, but most men actually die of suicide because when it hits them, it's going to actually affect them.
Most women attempt more because, let me finish. Most women attempt more because men don't care about how they die. They want to do it in the most crazy way possible.
Okay, let's move on from that. Okay, let me do some chats here. We have Alvarez here. I guess bits aren't accepted, but a few of these girls know what they are talking about. I'm an older man that used to date older women in my 20s. pH balance, oh God, is no joke. I've learned a lot over the years, and boiling a sex toy is the only way to sanitize. What the
You boil them?
You
boil sex toy, bro.
You're
It's like
cooking
you
dildos
melt
in the
it.
same pot that you're making Kraft mac and cheese.
That's
in.
right.
Hell
gross,
no. Then he's
Souffle. I'm
basically
making a
eating
dildo
pussy
souffle.
at that point.
Wait, boiling a sex toy? The only way to what are those things called that heat things? An autoclave? Wait, autoclave, is that a thing?
That's
that like,
correct.
Yeah, that's where I put my sex toys. The autoclave. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Testing tolerance here. Thank you, man, for the Streamlabs donation. What does a 40-year-old man have in common with an 18-year-old woman? Dumbest question ever asked by wall-approaching women. How about 15 million years of primate evolution? Amazing levels of ignorance here. Not my words. Don't shoot the messenger. That is from
If
Testing
you
Tolerance.
guys want to talk about evolution and then you guys come on here and call girls fat, okay, let's talk about how back then in evolution, if you guys have ever heard of, I think it's like the body of Venus or something like that. I could be completely wrong on the name of it was like a super, super old ancient artifact from like literally like the cavemen days. And it was literally this woman who is like a little...
Caveman days?
Venus from the caveman days?
I don't think they were
No,
doing...
Okay, no,
Maybe
no,
Greek.
okay, it was like...
Like
it was
Italian
something-
Renaissance.
Yeah, okay, it was like something. It was like something like they found it in like a cave or something, like back then when people would like still do cave stuff. I'm not exactly sure in what year, but there was this woman who was literally like a bigger woman, and she, had wide hips, big boobs, like they were a little bit saggy, but like it doesn't matter because that's what like beauty was back
does that
then,
have to do with
because
biology?
let me finish. Because Because
the standard is different.
Yeah, the standard
Beauty
is different.
standards
When
aren't
you
biology.
back then, the cavemen would look at that, and biology would be like, okay, literally go for that woman because she's fertile, she looks
Well,
fertile.
that's true. You guys mentioned earlier that men should evolve from certain behaviors. So why can't women evolve to not be fat?
I'm literally just saying how men like to talk about biology all the time, but then like they like to come up on
Yes,
here.
but bringing up a statue has nothing to do with biology.
I'm saying that
What was
back then,
biologically
yeah,
attractive at that
biologically,
time?
this was the most beautiful woman figure ever. It was
I know you're
literally
not natural
named.
beauty, but I think with the right clothes and the right look, you could be very striking.
Whoa, what the fuck?
What was that?
I
What was
don't know.
that?
It was I think that was Nick who said that. How dare you, Nick?
I didn't even hear what
And
they
while
said.
being fat might have been desirable back then
I can
because
already tell
of
that
money
I don't like you.
and whatnot.
Okay, let's do
It's
some
not
more
that it
chat.
was. It's not that being fat was desirable. It's that
I think
it
it has
was.
to do with
You
breathability,
looked
too.
like you could withstand childbirth.
That's what
Wide
he said.
hips.
Wide
Hold on.
hips,
Whoa, we have a
all of
chat
these big
here from
breasts.
Jai Kai here.
That's
Thank
a
for the
sign of
Thank you for
fertility.
the 50 for Naomi. Hands down, you're the most beautiful girl on this podcast. You have true class
Oh, thanks.
and love God. Those two qualities make you a 10. Oh, actually, you know what? Speaking of that, we have Stifler here. Ask everyone to rate their looks on a scale of 1 to 10. Starting with you. Go ahead.
I've already thought about this. I saw that earlier, and
Oh,
I was gonna
gosh.
say I'd say like probably a 6 or 7, probably close to a 7.
Okay.
To be generous.
A 10.
All right.
A 7.
I don't know.
She's a
Just
10.
throw something out there. Throw something out there.
I don't really. I don't want to.
Okay, what about you?
10, baby.
Okay.
Okay, well, judging that they both said 7, I'm gonna say 7 because I think, yeah.
I'll say a 5.
Fresh out of the shower, 6.5 to 7.
7 on average, 8 on a good day.
Okay, I give myself a 6. Give myself a 6, mate. Okay. So 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Yes.
So perfect. You guys are perfect.
In my own eyes, absolutely.
Perfect. But it's just
Why am
clarification.
I gonna come onto the internet and be like, yeah, I'm a 5? Like, I'm just putting myself down. It took me so long to love myself, Brian. I'm gonna stay here and I'm gonna be like, I love myself. I'm a 10. I don't care what you think. I don't care if you don't think I'm a 10, but I'm beautiful. And
Wait,
if you
so
can't-
question. Should everybody be a 10?
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah,
to
everybody,
themselves.
everybody.
Should all women 10s?
I think we
To
should all
me-
feel like a 10. I just wasn't gonna go in with that because I
Oh,
think
okay.
they're 10s and they're rating themselves 7s. So I'm like,
Okay, all right.
I think women
But
are beautiful.
Should